Hang on.
And we're back in the room. I tell you what, that was a quick countdown tonight. I hardly managed to get everything done that I need to get done before I was back in the room. Packed week as always this week, Marty.
Always, Justin. Always. No, packed week. Busy, you know. Yeah, just same old, same old.
I don't know where the weeks go. Time flies unbelievably quick. It is just scary. I do not know where it all goes. It just goes through the mist of time. Although it could be all the whiskey we consume.
Well, this is that does ease the burden somewhat. You know, time does go a bit quicker. But yeah, that's all fun, all good. What about yourself?
I'm all right. I'm not too bad. Not enjoying the very cool weather we're getting. So you really need stuff. You need a wee dram to warm your cockles on an evening.
It does. It warms the cockles of your soul. It was a very nice day today. It just so happened to be that it was very cold, but it was very nice.
But we'll certainly get to warm the cockles tonight with this fantastic River Rock. We're going to try. Yeah.
Well, you see, unlike you, Justin, I haven't tried it yet. You know, I saved it for tonight. So hopefully everybody got their samples. So thanks to the guys at River Rock and Mark, who we've met before, for sending them over.
Okay, it certainly is. I think you're going to get a nice surprise here, actually. A very nice surprise.
Oh yeah, good. I'm glad. So, first up, will we do the news?
Certainly, at your convenience. There we go.
Okay, here we go with the news. Now, good news this week, as it was brought out in a report that Whisky investment, Whisky Ireland, is growing. It continues to grow despite a slight dip during the coronavirus during this year. In the past 10 years, €1.5 billion has been invested in Irish whisky. Global sales have risen from 26 million bottles to 144 million bottles. Jameson's still by far the biggest with 8 million 12-bottle cases. Irish whisky is now sold in 140 different territories or markets. So it's not necessarily countries, but in 140 different markets, with the US accounting for 51% of that. So that's massive
performance, Marty. That's some performance.
It really is. Now, the figure I want to draw your attention to is the 1,640 people employed pre-COVID. So again, there's been a slight dip, so that might change, but not by much. And the gross value added per employee is €412,756 each, which kind of gives you an idea. That's the highest of any food and drink industry in the whole of Ireland. I mean, the figures are just fabulous. Another market report, that report was done by the Irish Whisky Association. Another report done by HTF predicts huge growth by 2028 with all the big players. I mean, when I say big, I mean enormous players in whisky. So by that I mean Beam Suntory, Diageo, Pernod Ricard, Brown Forman, William Grant and Sons. They're all have invested already, and will be investing more. So another bit of good news: Sleeve League, our friends from down in Donegal, when they were doing their crowdfunding, which we had talked about before, they raised well over £2 million. They initially were seeking $1 million, and they raised well over double that, and it's made them the 5th biggest crowd-funded investment in Europe this year. So all of that is fabulous news for the Irish whisky industry. You know, you have to say, you know, well done, congratulations. You know,
you certainly do, Marty. It's very, very impressive. I mean, it seems to be set for exponential growth over the next foreseeable future, anyway.
Well, whenever you consider the 51% of the sales of Irish whiskies going to the States, I mean, Admiral Scott last week said that he reckoned there's now 2,000 whiskey producing distilleries in America. So it's just huge, you know. I mean, it's just unbelievable figures, really. But that's the stats don't lie, you know.
They certainly don't. And we've got sad news this week about a woman in whiskey.
We do. This is the terrible news down in Dingle. Mary Ferriter, who was the global ambassador for Dingle, suddenly passed away. She passed away at her home. It was obviously very sudden. No one saw it coming. I don't think she'd been ill. Now she had overseen, and you can see in the picture, you can see the wall behind her. She oversaw the Founding Fathers program, which was the seed capital to raise the money to start Dingle Whiskey, Dingle Distillery. So really, without her, the distillery wouldn't be there. She became the global accounts manager until she died, and she expanded the brand into the US and into Canada. Now, I had the good fortune to meet Mary down at a whiskey tasting, a product launch down in Dublin, and a very nice woman she was too. So our thoughts and prayers go to all the people down there. I know they've been devastated this week. So
not good, but
not good. But it's nice. Out of all this, there always has to be positives, and the fact that the sort of Irish whiskey community all knew her and were able to say, you know, what a wonderful woman she was, and send their condolences is really a mark of just what the industry's about. You know, it's not that big yet. You know, I was talking about how much it's growing, but it's not that big yet, and it still has a family feel to it, and hopefully long may that continue. You know.
Another sad note. 100 years ago, the anniversary of Prohibition.
Well, it was 100 years ago this last year that Prohibition came in. But today, this very day, is the 86th anniversary of the end of Prohibition. So 86 years ago, Prohibition in the States ended. And from that, I have put out sort of in tribute to all of this, some of the American brands, you know, your Maker's Mark, your Jack Daniels, your Bullet Bourbon, etc., etc. So 86 years ago today, people in the States could legally get a drink, and they didn't need a prescription for it, you know. So good on them. Yay, finally seen sense.
Yeah, well, it could happen again. It could happen again.
I don't think so.
Probably not. No. But these new whiskies keep on coming out. I don't know how they managed to keep on doing this, by the way.
Aye. Now, Bushmills has launched another of its Causeway collection. Now, Justin and I were very fortunate to go to the one that they launched for, the two that they launched for Ireland. Now, this is a 2001 Filou Burgundy cask. Finished. Now, it's exclusively available from the whiskey shop from Monday. Tuesday.
Right.
Monday. Now, this is only exclusive to Great Britain. And they've been doing this with these. They've been releasing these single cask strength bottlings in different markets, different areas. I'm not really sure why. I'm sure they obviously have a very limited amount of these, but it means if anybody wishes to collect them, then they're cutting out the collectors, which that's probably a good aspect. Some things. Now, there's only 168 bottles of this, and it's £200 a bottle, 49%, single malt, aged for 17 years in sherry butts and bourbon before 2 years in the Burgundy cask. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of people on Monday trying to get this. It'll not hang about for very long, I don't think.
Okay, well,
yeah,
it's one of those things. I mean, I can't even go to England to get it. You know, you could try online, but it's going to be difficult, isn't it? Yeah,
I would have thought so. Possibly because Northern Ireland are still in the UK. I don't know. You might be able to log on and get it, but if you get one, you'll be very fortunate. I would have thought you'll be very fortunate.
Okay, right. Now, before we say hello to everybody tonight, because double figures, well into double figures, tuning in already. Thank you very much. Please comment, like, and share. Comment, like, and share. Do it on Facebook, do it on YouTube. Tell all your friends, comment, like, and share. Hit like now, hit share now. That's it, done, out of the way. Won't ask you to do it again. Yep. And we might send you a T-shirt if we had any. Okay?
If we had it. Now, last story. We like a good whiskey Christmas tree. And Jack Daniels have put up, this is for the last few years, a 26-foot tall tree made with 140 American oak barrels. Now in Lynchburg, Tennessee, they also have one in Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Dallas, Boston, Tampa, Cleveland, Nashville, and of course Las Vegas. Now the top barrel from each of these trees is going to be auctioned off, and with the money going to Operation Ride Home, which helps junior enlisted service members and families to travel home from where they are doing their service. So yes, more whiskey charity, more whiskey stuff. And folks, on Instagram, I am doing 15-second Instagram instant reel whiskey reviews. Now, it's part of Discover A&I's Christmas campaign. So if you want to see Slancha Claus, go on. I try and share them, but I keep messing up the download to get them shared across things. It's all a bit of a I'm not technologically minded as such,
I'm working everything. That's why it's always crap. All right.
No. No. So that's this week in news, my friend.
I know it actually is feeling a bit festive-y now and a bit Christmassy. That is the good thing. That is the good thing. So
yeah,
we better say hello to some of these people because they're being neglected. We'll run through them. Mark Kerr, you were missed last week. Yeah. Mark was missed last week. Yeah, he definitely was missed last week. Yeah. Julie saying hello. Julie, yeah. Julie saying hello. And Trevor's down in his holiday home in Fermanagh again. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, hello to you.
Must be nice.
These are regulars. Remember, regulars, comment, like, and share. Hit share. All your friends can see it as well. Don't have privacy on either because it defeats the purpose of social networking. Patrick saying hello. Good evening to you. Mark saying we've only started at 22:06. No, we didn't. We started exactly at 10 o'clock. Didn't we? We did.
I leave all the technical stuff to you, Justin. So if it's something wrong, it's your fault.
I did an exact countdown to 10 o'clock. Could have sworn. What a great character and lovely person, Mrs. Dingle. Yes. Yeah, Michael.
Sad.
Thank you for that. Jody Berg, a regular from Prince Edward Island. Good evening. Liam Kelly saying hello to Shane Foley. Shane Foley is saying hello to Liam. Do your wives not allow you to talk to each other because it's always about whiskey? Mark Diamond's on the gin tonight. Good evening to you. Mark Kerr saying he won't do it again. And Dale McDonald is saying, evening, lads. Comment, like, and share. That's the key to winning in the internet game. I'm going to have another sip of this. This is just too good to wait.
Right. We'll do our whiskey tasting for the guys from Reservoir Rock. So, this is a single malt. It's a Scotch now. Okay. So, now I'm just going to read. Hopefully, everybody got their samples by now, and try it in the little cairn. Right. See, unlike Justin, I haven't tried this yet. Justin, he's sneaked a wee bit of it.
I had to try it, Morty. I was waiting for it with bated breath. It was. Listen, watch it again. Go on YouTube. It's easy to find. Irish Whiskey Review on YouTube. Find the River Rock interview. I think I put it up there separately, so it's easy to find. When I read this, I thought, no, brand new out of the bottle. Now I know these guys behind it are, they.
Yeah, I mean, these guys know. These guys worked in what would be one of the most respected whiskey producing companies, if you like, because they own a number of different brands, including Macallan. Now the guys behind River Rock have left there. Set up this is their project, and remember, every time they sell a bottle of whiskey, they plant a tree. It's part of the
John Muir.
John Muir Trust. I couldn't remember the first name. So they're trying to be environmentally friendly, making all these little differences, to try and make things a little bit better. As I keep saying, it's only industry that can fix this.
It is fantastic stuff. And
so,
tell us what we should do with this one, Marty. Because
pour it into your Glencairn glass. Pour it into your glass, right?
It's in the glass. It's in the glass.
Let it sit a little bit.
It's been sitting the right while now because it's half done.
That's no wonder you're smiling so much. No, so let it go round the glass now. I see Shane there. Shane, I know, done a test. I was talking to him a little bit last night about the difference between a Glencairn glass and just an ordinary tumbler. It makes a huge difference if you have the right glass. It really does. So take it on the nose. There's quite a lot of wood. There's quite a lot of wood there. You're getting it quite light. You can tell the bourbon cask, the vanilla, the sweetness. It's not got a big nose. It's not very punchy.
Gosh, I thought it was, but maybe I've been for a walk in the fresh air today, 6 miles, Marty. But I really did get the toasted marshmallows, and let's face it, I even let somebody else smell it, and they smelled the toasted marshmallows. And normally when it says stuff like that, toasted marshmallows, I go, is somebody toasting marshmallows? Because I can't smell them, but I can in this.
Yeah. I'm not getting a big nose for it. I'm not getting a big nose off it. But it's quite sweet.
Are you sure you don't have COVID?
Oh, don't joke about these things, Justin. It'd be you that would give me it. It'd be you. You'd be one of them asymptomatic dudes, and I would end up lying with a ventilator on.
I hope.
We'll go for the taste. Now, this is a young whiskey. It hasn't much age to it, but it's got it's got a really nice mouthfeel, which is a big plus in my opinion. Whenever you've got a nice oily mouthfeel, it's like chocolate. It's something luxurious. It's something. Now, it's quite sweet. It certainly has. I can see the marshmallowy thing you're getting from it. It's chewy with. It's chewy sweetness, and I can taste the marshmallow off it. The bourbon cask, the vanilla sweetness coming in on it is really, really nice. It's delivered really well. Yeah, that's nice. It's very nice.
I thought it was pretty good. I really got a really strong mouthfeel out of it. It really lingered. It really coated your tongue, your roof of your mouth, your gums, your taste buds. I thought to myself, gosh, have I eaten a sweet at the same time as that? It is really, really, really good for something that's brand new.
I tell you what, I keep talking about this sort of preconceived ideas. It's part of the whiskey story because it builds up that sort of journey of what you're talking about. This is exactly what I thought it was going to be in some regards. The guys who have done this is a good quality spirit. There's not a lot of age to it, and it doesn't have a huge amount of flavour and depth. But what it has, it's quality. It's got a real richness and texture to it that's fabulous. It's honeyed, it's sweet, it delivers it really well. The finish isn't massive. It's not going to be for a really young whiskey, but it's that sweetness that's delivered really quite well. It's kind of honeyed. You're getting the sort of very, very light caramel sweetness to it. The vanilla's coming through from the bourbon.
It's good. It is good. People are agreeing with you. Mark's saying he loves the idea of the wonky glass too. Certainly, yes, these wonky glasses are something else. They're fantastic.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, it is a great idea, and Mark's saying he can't wait for the 10-year-old. Shane Foley saying very drinkable, extremely drinkable.
It is. Absolutely. This is the sort of whiskey that non-whiskey drinkers could drink, because it's not.
Isn't that what they were going after? That's actually what he said.
That was exactly what they were going after. This is the sort of stuff. It's very versatile, because it's not big, punchy. It's not overly sweet. It's not peaty. It's not. It doesn't have big, massive, bold flavors to it. But what it does is it delivers it really, really well. It's very good. It's very good.
It is. I'm amazed by this one. I'm always amazed by these new ones. I don't know how all these guys manage to do it. You think we'd get one bad one, but we don't really seem to be getting anything bad at all.
Yeah.
It literally is amazing. But then there's a lot of expertise and a lot of pedigree in this sort of thing. So. Thank you very much for that, and sorry to the odd person that didn't quite make it. I'm always a bit weary of this, because 99.9% of packages do arrive. They might arrive late. Liam Kelly saying it's very, very smooth. It is extremely smooth. Trevor's saying, where can this be bought? This can't be got locally yet, can it?
I don't think so. Probably. I would imagine it'll appear on some of the online retailers, Master of Malt. I would imagine, I'm going to say the dreaded A word, Amazon, who I'll just say I got heads up earlier on in the week, a litre bottle of Black Bush for £22. Now, I know lots of people will say, don't buy from Amazon, don't buy from Amazon. Litre bottle for £22. How on earth can you go wrong?
Yeah, you certainly
you really can't.
You can't. We've got a lot to get through tonight, and we've got somebody that, everybody I want to hear from. I thought we were going to get Robert Downey Jr. or Peter Cushing or somebody like that there, but we didn't.
in his own head, he probably is up there with those people. But no, this week we have we've interviewed another. I keep saying this, but there's so many nice people in the Irish whiskey trade. It's absolutely. It's like a big family. Everybody kind of knows everybody else. And one of the people who is, he's basically the voice of Dunville's. Down at Echlinville, when I first visited Echlinville, I got a tour around it and saw everybody and sort of said hello to everybody. And it kind of has the feel of, it's a family-run business. And it's a bit... You just know that everybody there can kind of do everything that's required of them. So that they are, everybody can kind of do everything. And it's a strange place. It's got a really, really good feel about it. And the voice of the whole place is Jarlath. Now, Jarlath is the guy, he's the brand ambassador. He does a whole range of jobs. So he's... It was nice to get talking to him again,
Okay. Now, we've got a couple of questions. We'll cover them now because we want to ask them while they're fresh in the mind. I was going to say we'll come back to them later on, but we'll do them now. Frank Hearn has said, wife is not a whiskey drinker, and I said to her, smell that. Reply was that she would drink that. That's the River Rock.
That's excellent. More whiskey in the whiskey tribe. Yes, come on.
Mark Kerr is saying River Rock have a shop. Yes, we know that they have a shop. Yep. And Michael Matthews is saying, where is the distillery, or is it a buy-in operation?
Oh, it's a buy-in operation. They've sourced their whiskey. Now these guys, as I say, used to work for Edrington, so they'll have very good contacts. So I'd imagine they'll have bought it from whatever distillery they have thought is going to produce, they're going to have the best whiskey to meet their specification. Now, don't be surprised if this is a Macallan.
Now the good news is we actually have a full feature on that, and you can watch it on the YouTube channel, which is Irish Whiskey Review. But without further ado, here we go with the sort of feature interview this week.
keep production going.
Jarlath from Dunville's Distillery tonight.
That's even better.
What's the background of the Echlinville Distillery? Because lots of people maybe have heard of Dunville's, but maybe not just as many have heard of Echlinville. So what's the story?
Yeah, Echlinville is a family-owned and family-run distillery down the Ards Peninsula on the east coast of County Down. It's owned by Shane and Lynn Braniff, neighbours of ours, and we were in the whiskey industry for a while, from 2005, and we were doing third-party spirits, and then about 2011 we decided to build our own distillery. We had just bought Echlinville House and Echlinville Estate, which is a sort of 19th century big antique house, very well. It's something like that, and we didn't really know what to do with it, and we just looked with fresh eyes one day and thought this is absolutely perfect for a whiskey distillery. So about 2011, we decided that we would try and put a distillery there. In June 13, 2 years later, we distilled our first drop of single malt. I think November 13, we distilled our first pot still. So we have a 7-year-old single malt and 7-year-old pot still down our warehouses that hasn't seen the light of day yet. And like I say, we're a family-run distillery. There's about 20 of us down there now. But if we're doing, as well as whiskey, we've got one or two quite successful gin brands, and that keeps the place open until the whiskies, are bottled and go out. So it's busy down there, Marty. You've been down a few times. It's not the biggest distillery in the world. It's not the smallest by any stretch. We built.
No, it's not.
We built the distillery. We built the distillery we could build. And that we could keep 100% control of. It was really important for us that we kept complete control of the distillery. Because then we could do exactly what we wanted, and we wouldn't be answerable to shareholders or banks or accountants or anybody else. It gave us that freedom to really push the boat with quality. That's what we did. That's what we did in Echlinville. We're laying down single malt and pot still spirits. We're producing Jawback gin, Echlinville gin, Weaver's gin, and Dunville's Irish whiskey, and you'll see Echlinville whiskey in due course.
You've set up your distillery. Now I know there's other distilleries that talk about grain to bottle distilleries, but Echlinville are a little bit more than that, aren't you? I mean, your process is even it's a single farm distillery.
Yeah, I missed that bit when I was telling you about the distillery, didn't I? Yeah, I probably missed that. I missed that very important bit of information. It was we grew up as farmers. As you know, both Shane's family, my family were neighbouring farmers down the Ards Peninsula. We've been, second, third, fourth generation farmers, and it was always our intention, if we built a distillery, that we would try and, I guess, put the Ards Peninsula into a glass of whiskey. And a glass of whiskey from Echlinville would tell off the Ards Peninsula. So as much as possible, we try and source from down there. We try and source labour from down there. We try and source whatever. But probably most importantly, every drop of barley, every drop of whiskey that's distilled in Echlinville comes from barley that we have grown on our farm, on our distillery farm. We grow our own barley, we malt our own barley, and then we distill it. So every drop of whiskey that's produced in Echlinville is made with malted barley that's been grown by us and flow malted by us on the farm. And I guess that's the approach that we took. That was how we were going to tell the story of the Ards Peninsula through a glass of whiskey. And I guess that is, we're at the time we started, and certainly up until last year, we were definitely the only guys that were using their own barley from their own farm. I guess we're still the only guys, I believe, and I stand to be corrected, that are malting all their own barley. I know that Brendan in Cologne malts and peats some. And there's different guys, would do it on a small scale possibly, but every drop of barley that we use is grown by us and malted by us, and that gives us a real, I guess it's that sense of terroir, that anybody who's following Irish whiskey is very, very used to hearing now from Waterford, coming out of Waterford. We were probably talking about terroir back in 2014, I guess. We were talking about a different version of terroir. The Waterford experiment is showing how 30, 40 or 42 different farms produce different whiskies. We were just showing what whiskey in North Peninsula tastes like, so I guess that was the idea behind it. And as I said to you before, Marty, that was probably very much inspired by the Bruichladdich approach, 10 years ago.
I know some people probably don't appreciate just the malting process, how unusual it is for a new distillery, to do the maltings themselves, because it's labor intensive, it's expensive, it's time consuming.
I think we didn't know any better.
I think
that's probably the answer.
That's exactly what I was about to say. A bit of naivety, but in a good way.
Yeah, and then once you start and once you start telling that story, you really can't back out of it, But no, that's not true. I mean, it's just if you're going to be filled at last, you have to be filled at last. I mean, if you're gonna, everything has to happen on our farm or at our distillery. I mean, otherwise it's not our approach. And you can't really say, well, 90% of it will do. For us, our whole ethos in making spirits, whether it's Echlinville gin, whether it's those Dunvilles, that's the Dunville's whiskey, that's been really well received this year, or whether it's Echlinville that nobody's tried yet, is that we just don't compromise at any stage of the production in any way. So. And again, that goes back to the fact that we're family owned. We don't have shareholders. We don't have bank breathing down our neck, and we have the ability to not compromise. To not compromise is a luxury that not very many distilleries or producers would have, because they do have stakeholders, who will be demanding results, demanding bottom line, and demanding this, that, and the other. We are extremely lucky. We have two mad scientists, and Graham and Shane, and just on the south end, and we all three of us firmly believe, in doing our own thing and not setting very high standards and not compromising and making whiskey, probably the most expensive way there is to make it. We're malting our own. We're floor malting. We're using dunnage warehousing. We're storing barrels on their side 3 or 4 high. We're not palletizing. We're very inefficient in our malting. We're very inefficient in our distillation. But if we do 12, 14 hour distillations, we're very inefficient in our maturation. But we believe that is the best way to make whiskey. We believe that all those stages are vitally important. If you're going to make a damn good whiskey. I mean, it's probably just going back to how whiskey was made before it became very industrialized. Before the whiskey industry became mass, hugely industrialized. It's probably just going back to sort of pre-industrialized whiskey techniques. And some guys are still doing that, as you know. There's great way distilleries to do a lot of that. So yeah, I mean, it's our approach, and it's. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's right for us.
Everybody does their own thing, and they'll carve out your own niche, and don't there's plenty of room for the big industrial guys who are putting out lots and lots of product, and some of it very good, some of it maybe not so good, and the other guys who are keeping it fairly small, trying to do it, put as much flavour into a bottle as possible, and keeping production levels quite small. Now, the one thing I want to say is attention to detail. You said about mad scientists and stuff. The attention to detail is fabulous in Dunville stuff. And I can't help feeling that this is probably down to Shane as much as anything. The Dunville's brand, as everybody should really be aware is an old brand. Well, it sort of died out about nearly 90 years ago. But the label, you've kept the label more or less exactly as it was back in the early 20th century. So tell us about the whole Dunville's association with Echlinville. How did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you're right in saying that attention to detail is driven by Shane, certainly in the presentation and the labels and the bottles and everything apart from a liquid. Shane takes complete control of that. When it comes to the liquid, then Graham and myself come in and play a larger part. Yeah, I mean, we were. You can't help but to grow up in Belfast and not be aware of Dunville's, especially if you had a few pints in the Duke of York or the Harp or anywhere like that. Dunville's is all around you in Belfast. From the football club to the park to the warehousing and offices and everything else. And then all the memorabilia that's just draping around the whole of the Duke of York and the Harp Bar and beyond. And Bickles and that. So growing up, we were very aware of Old Cumber and Dunville's and Royal Irish and these whiskey mammoths, from 100 years ago and more. I guess we just never thought that Dunville's would land in our lap. But that's what happened. A guy that had bought the company and owned the company and the brand approached us to see if we'd be interested. That was about 2012. At the same time, we were building a distillery, and we wanted to go in a more premium direction than we maybe had been previously. And it was ideal. Now, I mean, we thought about it for a full, but then you think about it, you don't, how do you do it? Because you don't want to be accused of just taking an old brand and trying to profiteer off it, So we decided before we took it, we made a promise that we would try and, the word if we used word, that we would try and restore Dunville's to the top table of world whiskies. We knew that was a 25-year project, and we've always said that we are just the custodians of Dunville's, and we firmly believe that we're just the custodians. Dunville's was bigger than us. Dunville's was 1808 it was created. I mean, it fell silent in 1936. So I mean, it had a 130-year run. It was one time the British whiskey in the world. If we can take it, and while we are the custodians of it, if we can take it and leave it in a better place than when we found it, then I'd be delighted, and that's our job done. And then there's somebody else who put up Dunville's that long after we're pushing up daisies. That's just what Dunville's is. But it did. I think I'm really proud of the approach that we took. It took us a while to get there. That PX10 won Ireland's best whiskey under 3 years at 4 different awards. PX12 done the same thing.
Yep.
So we were putting out good whiskies. The Three Crowns Peated won Ireland's best blend. I think that was more because it stood out being peated, in a large room of tastings. But I think this year with the PX12 craft strengths, with the 18-year-olds, with the Palotados, and certainly with the 2 upcoming releases, the 20-year-olds and Oloroso and PX, they will further cement that.
Just take my money now.
Yeah.
You're determined to bankrupt me.
It's a nice one. The Oloroso PX, it was it's a 20-year-old. It was 16 years in bourbon, then it was 3.5 years in Oloroso, and then 9 or 10 months in PX, and it's just a delicious. It has all those lovely deep dark plums and stewed cherries and leather and dark chocolate and coffee and all those notes from the Oloroso craft. But over the last 10 months, the PX, that syrupy sweetness is just enveloped around it, and it's left, the Oloroso notes there, but it's just enveloped it in this syrupy sweetness, that really balances it out. And just in the last month, the balance come into the craft. And one thing we're always aware of in Dunville is, we always give the craft time to be right, so for the flavors to balance up, but also if it's going to be a craft strength, the flavors and have to be in balance with the ABV, and with the tannins and with the dryness and everything else. So some crafts just aren't craft strength whiskies. They go into your standard releases. Other crafts are craft strength whiskies. It might be 1 in 10 or maybe 2 and 10 if we're lucky, hit that cask strength mark. And if they do, they tell you when they're ready. You don't tell them, so it's a waiting game, And this one just came right about 3 weeks ago, and we banged it into a bottle pretty much immediately. After we're delighted with it. We are delighted with it. I think it will just raise the bar in Dunville once more.
I have cask 327 here, and I have a fair bit of it gone. It's about halfway down, and I've been using it what I would consider sparingly, but it is absolutely wonderful. Then we have 326 extra, and it's I'm trying to restrain myself, and I'm being quite disciplined with this, because I think that the cask strength bottlings are just fabulous. They're absolutely wonderful. They sell out in minutes, and there's a very good reason for that. I'm going to be quite honest here. And the flippers, the people who buy them they're not, because they're not new distillery releases. They're not barreling up and being ridiculous on the secondary market. So there's still a chance for people to get these at a reasonable price. And I would urge anyone who hasn't got one of these, get them.
Marty, we released the third of the PX12 cask strength 1703 last weekend, wasn't it? 2 weekends ago. I know that we launched at 8 p.m. on, I believe, a Friday night, and we had 324 bottles, and there was over 1,300 people on the website looking for 324 bottles at 8 o'clock. Now that math just doesn't work, and we have thought long and hard, how do we control this? How do we get it out better? In one way, I understand collecting whiskey and all. In one way, I would love to just crack the seal and sell it through the distillery shop with a seal crack. In another way, people like collecting whiskey, flipping it, I'm not overly fussed on, but ultimately we can't control, once it leaves our place, we can't control what anybody else does with it. That's written in stone. We are obviously always looking at ways of maybe, doing it more evenly, distribution of it. But our website shop is limited. We didn't foresee 18 months ago. We just didn't foresee this. Didn't foresee that this, a silly wee company in the Irish Peninsula, in Echlinville, would be firing out one of the most sought after whiskies in Ireland. It really. We obviously that was in the master plan, but we didn't, but we didn't build a website for it just in case, So you're always, I guess, it is something that I spend time over, trying to always figure out how to do this better.
While you've got a chance at getting them at a reasonable price on the second and the auction sites and stuff, get them, because they will. Once certain other people to realise just how good they are, they'll skyrocket. They really will. Now,
Teeling is reopening for tourists. Are you going to reopen for tourists anytime soon?
No. No, we've been closed since March. We didn't open at all whenever we could have reopened. I guess for us, we don't have the full-blown visitor experience, the separate visitor centre. If you come into a tour of our distillery, it is a tour of our distillery. You walk around the stills, and you walk around the warehouse, and you walk around the production facility.
Yeah.
And I guess we just have to safeguard the production facility. We have to safeguard our production staff. So the distillery has been a closed site since March. And I guess it will remain that way for the foreseeable. We will revisit it in the spring, and it would take something to change drastically enough for us to reopen at this point. I think with this, you just play the long game.
That's right.
And our tours are so small. We're doing personalised tours for 15, 20, 25 people. If you try and cut that down to half and take 10 or 12, well then sure, we probably lose in every tour whenever there was 15 or 20 at 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, it's yeah, I mean, so no, I think for the time being, we're going to use this time to maybe improve the site a bit, do a bit more building if we can get planning through, and have a better site and a better experience whenever it does come back. But we're in no rush. We want to, first and foremost, keep the staff safe, keep production going. So you know, it hurts us and you miss it. You know, I mean, you do miss it. You know, I mean, everybody misses showing the distillery off. You miss the crack. You miss the people. You know, but that will come in time. I mean, that will come back. It'll come back at the right time. And
just whenever you say about the touching on the virus there, you made hand sanitizer. You got the production up and got it running and started making hand sanitizer. So
yeah, I mean,
I talk about that a little bit.
You know, Marty, it's a story that wasn't really told back then. I say back then, like sort of 6 months ago, you know, but it seems a long time ago. I know. It seems a long time ago, just given what's happening. Yeah. But back in March, April, back in the end of March, the country was crying out for sanitizer. Nobody could get it, and if they were getting it, they were being charged. You know, it was an extortion racket. So with the help of Anita Farmer, Investa, and there were so many involved, you know, from the NIO, officers in the NIO, the Assembly, the Investa and I, Anita Farmer, there was Cologne, there was Copeland, there was Boatyard, you know, some of the independent distilleries, the smaller ones actually really went to town on it, you know, really, you know, really, you know, went above and beyond. We got it. We weren't allowed to make sanitizers. We had to get the law changed, so we had to get be allowed to do it from the revenue and from government, and that came. And then very quickly, we were putting out lots and lots of spin. It accumulated that we were probably doing about 50,000 litres a week of hand sanitizer. Now that's probably more than Middleton were doing, or about as much as Middleton were doing. You know, and that was from the back. So,
and there's a big difference in size.
There's a wee bit of a difference in size, you know, but that went on for 5-6 months. Yeah, so like, I mean, Cologne, Copeland, Boatyard, ourselves and others went at it big time. We, like, overnight, we brought the price down by 2/3, you know what I mean? So it went from £75 for 5 litres to £25 because we all took the opinion that we wanted to do it for the right reasons. The distilleries and drinks industry doesn't always get good press. This was our chance to make a difference, to actually put someone back and to really get into the fight. And we get into the fight big time. You know, we ended up supplying pretty much the entire NHS for 4 months in Northern Ireland. And there was, like, you know, ourselves, Copeland, Boatyard, Cologne, they were all firing out lots and lots of stuff free to charities, to schools, to nursing homes, to, you know, we were getting phone calls, Marty, from everybody, from NI Water through to the larger factories, you know, the larger production factories, the meat processing plants, the schools, the pharmacies, doctors. I mean, we were inundated with phone calls. You know, and I guess for 4 or 5 months we done nothing else. We didn't make one drop of gin. We didn't make one drop of whiskey. We just made hand sanitizer. And then in fact, we eventually had to get back to doing our day job. And then what happened at the same time was that a lot of the big international guys got into it in a big way, and then they took the price down even further. So we were happy to get out of it and get back to laying down whiskey, because it was tying up our stills and tying up all our current bottling line production facility in that, you know, and while we were too busy to actually think about it at the time, but looking back on it, I think we'd done our bit when it was needed, and as did, you know, and I'll say it again, Cologne, Copeland, Boatyard, and the rest, you know, I mean.
You might not have got the praise just that you deserve, because, again, as you say, the drinks industry sometimes doesn't get a great press, but, you know, when you were needed, when you were capable and could do something very positive, you did, and you're to be congratulated for it, you know. Now, I'm going to sort of finish up here, and I'm not letting you off the hook that easy. When are we getting when are we getting the Echlinville Spirit? I have tasted it. You know that I've tasted it. You let me taste it at the Belfast Whisky Social last year. I know how good it is and how good it's going to be. So when is everybody else getting a taste of it?
I would say 8 p.m. on the 22nd of some month, but I'll be lying. No, Marty. Do you know what happened? It's sort of hard to tell the Dunville. It's sort of hard to tell the Dunville story and the Echlinville story together because they're just so much different stories, and I get confused telling two different stories. Never mind anybody listening to me, you know. So we made the decision in 2020 that we would just talk about Dunvilles and we would try and give Dunvilles a good push and really, you know, bring out those senior class and really try to establish Dunvilles at the sort of upper end of the market, you know, as far as quality goes, and do it at a reasonable price and really make a splash with Dunvilles. I think we've done that. We sort of said that at some point in 2021 we'd have to start talking about Echlinville, because at some point, late 21, 2022, you'll probably see something come out of Echlinville. I'm in no rush. You know, I would love to say not.
I know you're not. I know you're not. That's a noise nest.
I would love to say
you're not, because I keep asking you every time I see you.
I would love to say not till June 23 because I'll be 10 years old, you know, and I would, you know, but I mean, I don't think that we need any more young releases in Ireland. I think there's been enough of them. I think we want to do something a bit different. I guess the answer is, Marty, when it's ready. I've tasted casks that are ready. You know, they're gorgeous, but I still know they'll get better. You know, and it's just, you know, it's hard for us to come. You know, it's not a compromise. But yeah, I mean, this year's been busy with hand sanitizer, with Dunvilles, with whatever else. I know there is some space next year for it. We will start talking about it next year, and then maybe next year, late next year, maybe 2022. You know, but
so probably looking at a year to 18 months.
Yeah, I think
that's basically what you're telling me.
Yeah, I think so, or two. Or three.
You're just going to have to wait.
Yeah, I don't think I won't get the 2 years or three, but we might get another year out of it, you know. But yeah, I mean, like you guys know how much fun we've had with Dunvilles, you know, how passionate we are about Dunvilles and how, you know, how much we've driven that and how much energy and passion we put into that. You know, just imagine what it's going to be like if it's our own farm and our own malting and our own distillate. You know, I mean, that's just going to be, for us, that's going to be off the chart. I just think my head will explode, you know, before it even gets out. You know, I think it will be off the chart. You know, as far as, you know, excitement for us guys, if not anybody else, for us guys, you know. Yeah, and Tris, I haven't thought about it too much. I'm there next year, Manana next year sometimes, you know, we'll think about it, but at the minute I am just, you know, completely immersed in Dunvilles, you know. I'm really enjoying the Dunvilles journey, you know, that journey of, you know,
I'm not surprised. Jarlath, thank you very much. Keep doing what you're doing. I think what you do is fabulous. Everything from the labels to the corks to everything, down to especially what's in the bottle. I think it's superb. Keep doing what you're doing and keep me informed of when this.
There we go. What a show. Big interest in that, Marty. Big interest indeed.
Nope. Oh, yeah. Listen. Dunvilles, I mentioned about the people buying the single cask stuff, and you know, people buy whiskies to try and sell them. They're limited to sell them on the auction sites to try and make some money at it. Dunvilles doesn't rise up that much, probably because people are actually drinking them. The majority of them end up being drank because it's so good. I love pretty much everything that Dunvilles do. I think the labelling, the bottle style, they've changed the bottle style recently, and I do think they're
so we've got 5 minutes to run through a couple of questions here. Kit Charge, who I think is a new name that I haven't seen before, he's still sore after the last release, so there you go.
I know. Well, put it like this: they're going to release a 20-year-old single cask. So over Christmas, write a wee note to Santa. Please, Santa, I've been a good boy this year. Please leave me some money to buy some Dingle's whiskey. And I put it like this: I know some guys. You can get the fake Santas. You know the guys that come and sit on my knee and all that kind of stuff. Say to the mums, come and sit on my knee. And but Santa this year, if he's good to you, he'll leave you some whiskey dollars.
And we're being asked by the Canadians again. Is it available in Canada? I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm pretty sure the Dunville's brand is. The single cask ones, you'll not get those over there. But the Dunville's brand, the actual Dunville's, it's a 12-year-old PX they do. They'll have it over there. They do Dunville's 3 Crowns and a 3 Crowns Peated. Now, if I'm honest, I'm not a huge fan of the 3 Crowns Peated. For me, it's the weakest in the line. Just one of those things. That doesn't sit with me. Everything else that they do.
I had a very good question. Awesome. Do they have family members coming in behind them at Echlinville to fill the boots, sort of thing, and carry the light on?
I think there's plenty of people who jump in there to help them out. I don't think there'll be anyway stuck for people helping them. But whenever they bring out a single cask, that people have to go around and test these. Jarlath has to spend days and days and days going around testing all the individual casks to see which one to go. There'll be no shortage of people to do that job. I'll volunteer. I'll take that. Give me.
I've heard of this before. There's a site in the Ards Peninsula known as the Maltings because there's a lot of windmills down there. There's only one left. It's getting refurbed. Ballycopeland, look that up. Yeah. What is the story of that? Did all this from the Maltings go to Bushmills or Cumber? And Mark Kerr saying they made vinegar there, I believe.
I think it was a barley malting house, but I may be wrong, but I think they supplied a brewery. Now, whether that brewery was in Belfast or on the Ards Peninsula, I'm not sure whether they supplied Cumber or Bushmills. I'm going to hazard a guess they probably did, but I don't know enough about that. But I something tells me that they actually supplied a brewery. So I don't know for definite, but I would say they probably did off and on. So
and Mark's saying he's had fond memories of the Dunville house from my youth. Do tell, Mark. Do tell what went on down there in the Ards Peninsula. We want to know.
The Echlinville house. It's one of those big old country piles. The big one, and it looks exactly what it is. I would imagine it's like the Forth Bridge. Just when there's always going to be stuff needing fixed on it because it's just a big old rambling country house, Well, that hasn't been turned into a hotel.
And one last question for you to answer. Dale McDonald saying it's probably available in the rest of Canada, maybe not just on your tiny island, Prince Edward Island. Oh, don't be fighting now. You get the Newfies next. So let me see. If Santa could bring you any whiskey for Christmas, cost no problem, what would you both want?
Let me think. I would probably one of the really old finished distillery pot stills from maybe Nuns Island or something like that. One of the distilleries that the turn of the 20th century. They pop up every so often. They're just absolutely colossal money. But the pot still recipes, the mash bills that they had then, are totally different from today. So I'd love to try. If Santa has any heart at all, he'll bring me one for Christmas. It cost about 12 grand upwards, but you never know.
Listen, we're going to leave it there. The guys at Echlinville are so humble and down to earth. They do so work behind the curtains. They set themselves such high standards and ethos others could learn from. Absolutely true. That certainly came across in the interview.
Couldn't agree more.
And finally, Geordie Burke and Dale McDonald hang together and do tastings. Canadians that are friends with each other, how do you meet up? The distances are so great in between. I couldn't resist it. Right, Marty, catch you again sometime.